What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips for wide receivers to be unguardable off the line against press. So we're going to be talking about how you guys can pair your releases together and make releases look the exact same on different routes. Then we're going to talk about how you guys can get a DB to move off his platform and move to a different leverage every single time. And then we're going to talk about how you guys can create the most separation possible when you guys are doing some kind of a route where the leverage isn't perfect, when you're running maybe an inside breaking route against inside shade press. So I hope this video helps you guys out, but also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want an 8-week daily wide receiver gym and on-field training schedule with all the things that wide receivers need to do broken down into sets, reps, and examples of each gym exercise and on-field drill combined, check out that very first link in the description below, fellas. We'd love to get you on our 2-month-long daily wide receiver schedule. Let's get started with this video. So now, first things first, first release you're looking at here is from CeeDee Lamb. So anytime that I get a press coverage DB, anytime that I'm facing a DB who likes to press a lot, we got to understand that he is playing a guessing game, right? He doesn't know what we are doing. He has no clue. DBs like to think that they know what we're doing, but they don't. And that's why DB is such a hard position to play. That's why you have a lot of respect for DBs who are talented at what they do. But a smart DB will try to pick up on some of my tendencies as a wide receiver. He'll try to pick up on what I like to do on certain routes. But I can use that to my advantage sometimes. So CeeDee Lamb decides to go with this like kind of hesitation and go release. So that hesitation and go release, you see guys like Davante Adams do this a lot, Justin Jefferson, some of the top route runners in the game do this same kind of thing. And why do they do this? Why does it work? Because a lot of times you see DBs slide or wide receivers slide like this, and DBs will just get hands and jam you all the way off this thing and jam you to the sideline because maybe they popped up, or maybe they're just like, them just kind of taking things slow gives the DB a green light to go ahead and get hands. But the reason why they do this is it builds off of other releases. How many times have you seen Davante Adams run a slant route where he'll hesitate, DB jumps to the outside, he throws a little crossover move and then runs the slant? Because it builds into this type of release. It's all a reaction, fellas. It's not so much a reaction. It's all a plan. It's all about having a plan for yourself, making a plan and executing the plan, and sometimes having to react off the DB. So Lamb, what he does, anytime a DB sees this kind of like hezzy slide release, some guys are taught, hey, just sit to the inside. Expect the slant. Do not jump and do not break your leverage when you're inside leverage. So when we slide to the outside like this and that DB sits to the inside, I could just take off and beat him with speed. That slide release forces this DB to have to make a decision. And that is what we want to do off the line. If I can make my release look the same and force that DB to, hey, I'm either going to sit inside because I don't want to get beat on the slant, or I'm going to jump outside because I don't want to get beat on the fade, he will eventually guess wrong and we will eventually be open. So this hesitation, slide, and go release is just a great example of how to make your releases build off of each other. Now, some of you might be asking, okay, well, coach, he's sitting inside, but what if I have to run a fade and I do this hezzy go, and that's like my plan, and let's say I slide to the outside, but this DB just jumps way outside with me. Like he plays it like how we'd want him to play a slant. Then you would just react, put the brakes on, and take the inside release. That's what I mean by releases are reaction-based. This hezzy slide is so great because it allows you to get separation on a slant. You could sit him to the inside and go run a fade. You could have him jump out and still run a fade, just take the inside release and work to restack. But it forces the DB to make a plan and to make a decision. And when he makes a decision, we can react and execute my plan. So that's the first thing, to beat DBs, to be unguardable, not in just a one-on-one situation when you're t-shirt and shorts, but in real game time situations, we have to pair my releases together. A smart DB will study film for hours and hours and hours throughout the week to prepare for you, but a smart wide receiver will know that I need to be unpredictable and not have any tendencies that he can read. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. So Lamb does a great job sliding, taking off, dipping that shoulder to restack, and then winning on this fade route because that DB sat to the inside. So now, the second thing I want to talk about is how we can get a DB to move off his platform, and that's by stepping outside of his frame. So what do I mean by stepping outside of his frame? So a lot of people will say that, oh, it's about quickness off the line. You want to keep all of your cuts inside your shoulders, and you do kind of want to do that. But if we don't threaten a DB vertically, we don't try to step outside of his frame, I don't try to make him think that I'm running fade or an inside breaking route, he is not going to move, at least a disciplined DB. My goal is not to get you ready for a DB who's bad. My goal is to get you ready for a DB who's disciplined, who's going to be watching your hips, is trying to read your body language. So you got to make sure that we step and threaten him outside of his frame. So that's stepping outside of his shoulders, right? Stepping outside of his shoulders, threatening him almost like on a 45 degree. So let's play this release here from Darnell Mooney. So he goes 1, 2, 3, gives this little 3-step move to the outside, gets the DB to bite, and he wins on this slant. So I want you to pay attention to how wide his first step was. You see how he's stepping again. He was on the line of scrimmage. He stepped past the line of scrimmage going forward. He's not going lateral because when you go lateral, that's not going to do much. But you see how far he's stepping outside this DB's frame. He has to move if you're stepping that far. If you don't step that far and you step like, let's say instead of Mooney stepping there, he steps like just here, he gives a quick little jab and it's inside DB's shoulder, he ain't going to move because that's not threatening him vertically. There comes a point in every DB's like press rep, man coverage rep, where he has to make a decision and commit. And if we step all the way out here, that's going to get him to commit. Now, a lot of wide receivers will do this, and they take me to literally with this. They'll overdo it, and this cut will get outside of their frame. They'll step wide, they'll be outside the DB's frame, and maybe they get him to move, but that leg is so wide, and they have no knee bend, they're extended with the leg, and they can't drive. Ultimately, we want to be able to sell. We want to step outside his frame, but I also want to be able to drive and push off of this to get back to the inside release and have some explosion. So how I can do that is you want to think of it like your hip and your foot are attached. You're coming here rather than me just stepping with this foot and leaving my hip over here. I want to throw my hip. I want my hip to be attached with my foot. My upper body goes with the cut. So now I'm in a position where I'm selling the route, but I also have some balance. So when that DB jumps, I can push off of the cut and get some explosion back to the inside. Now, he does like a 3-step move out here, but you see how wide he is going, fellas. That is what we have to do with my releases. I have to threaten him either to his leverage, away from his leverage, whatever the release or the route calls for, but I got to threaten him outside of his frame. Step outside of his frame, stay inside of your frame by bringing the hips and the shoulders. That's the second way to get more separation off the line, fellas, is you have to operate outside the DB's cushion. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job stepping wide by Mooney and throwing that crossover to the outside to fake him with the fade. So now, last thing I want to talk about, to be unguardable, to be that guy off the line that isn't getting locked up all the time, isn't getting jammed. You have to understand a DB's leverage and you cannot force your releases. So what do I mean by that? So we have an inside shade press coverage look here. This is Rashad Bateman when he was at Minnesota. How would you run a dig route against this look? That's how you should be thinking. You should always be there. Like when you guys are watching film of a team, you guys should always be going over the routes in your head versus the coverages you're seeing. Because you're never going to find a team that runs the exact play for play, or like rep for rep, play for play stuff that you guys run. You're going to have to kind of like imagine it almost. Like, okay, against this look, if I saw this and I had to run this route that I run a lot of, how would I go about it? What could I do? So that's how you should be thinking of these film breakdowns that we talk about. He's inside shade. What do you think about this dig? What a lot of wide receivers are thinking is that, okay, I'm going to attack him. I'm going to give him a little fake outside, then go to the inside and run the dig and take the inside release. Now, the issue with that is that this DB is inside leverage, right? He's inside leverage for a reason. He's not going to give up the inside release. That's his whole goal. His goal is not to let you cross his face because he does not have any help to the inside. You'll see this inside shade look against a lot of cover 1, a lot of cover 0. He is trying to force you to that sideline. That is his whole entire goal. So if you just go run to the outside right now, he is totally fine with that. If you just try to run to the inside right now, he's going to get hands on you and he's going to reroute you over the middle of the field and the spacing of the play will be off. So we have to get comfortable taking an outside release, but threatening him to the inside to try to move him off the platform so I have a free release. So I'm going to play this full speed. So he comes off the line. You see how Bateman attacks him. He closes the distance with this DB, gets him to open up his hips to the fade, and then slips underneath. So when he goes here, you see how he's moving on. He's on the offensive. He's attacking him. He's closing the space. But when he makes this like last cut, where is he stepping? Outside the frame. Hips and shoulders are going. Hip is attached to the foot. All the same principles apply, fellas, but now he's attacking the inside leverage because he knows that DB is probably going to keep the leverage. I honestly don't think this is maybe even the best way the DB could have played this. I think he probably could have kept his leverage a little bit more, but because he attacked him inside, that widened him, right? And if we could widen him off that platform by stepping outside of his base, I could take the outside release and I keep spacing with the QB and timing with the QB. If you just try to force the inside release, this DB is going to get hands, which screws up timing. Because if you're getting rerouted, that screws up the timing. And if he forces you, let's say you're running a dig and maybe we have like a shorter 5-yard in and you're getting rerouted all the way to the middle of the field and your routes are 2 yards apart, it's very bad. So spacing and timing is what we need to keep off the line, and that comes from not forcing your releases. So now you might say, well, how do I get open at the top of the route? Yeah, I could attack his leverage all day long. I could run outside, but how do I get open at the top of the route? And it's by getting this DB to do this. If we could get him to open up his hips like this, that's easy money. I could just break underneath and slip under, or maybe even throw him by if he's a little bit tighter. And by throw by, I mean like I put my hand on his hip or his shoulder, my right hand in this case, and then slip back underneath. Now, or if I really get him on this route, I could always work to restack where he's trailing behind my hip, but I have to have a plan for it. So yes, separation, I believe, comes at the top of the route. Keeping timing and spacing and setting you up for separation at the top of the route comes from the release, but you just cannot force it, fellas. You cannot try to run across the DB's face. You can't force the inside release on an inside breaking route and vice versa. Understand leverage and understand how to structure your routes. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Bateman attacking the inside leverage, getting that DB to open up his hips, and then slipping underneath, keeping spacing and timing with his QB. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you'd like a 2-month-long wide receiver gym and on-field training schedule with all the exact drills and gym workouts combined together for a set daily plan with sets, reps, and video example of each drill and examples of each exercise, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.